All right, so that's what's happening today. Now, again, let's to repeat, the Mexican experience in the United States has a diverse and varied history that challenges us to seriously understand, come to terms with, especially with regards to the politics surrounding the creation of an immigration policy. This is a policy that affects every Mexican's existence as a human being today. Now, when we talk about the Mexican experience, first and foremost, we must root that discussion in native thought, practices, and beliefs. And the foundation of the Mexican experience is native traditions. Traditions rooted in the land and the linguistics expressions found today in the area known as the United States Southwest and northern Mexico. It is in the spirit of the Mexican existence today to recreate native peoples' expressive mobility. And since time immemorial, Mexica people have been moving back and forth on this turtle continent, occupying every niche, sharing seeds, material resources, and stories that are emanating from the valleys of the center of Mexico, or the center of the universe. Places called Teotihuacan, Monte Alban, Chichen Itza, and Tenochtitlan. Of people finding their way up to the Great Lakes region via the Mississippi and the Ohio. Of gente finding their way to Montana and Canada via the Santa Fe, Chihuahua, Zacatecas thoroughfare. And raza finding their way up the Pacific coastline via the deserts of Sonora, of Sinaloa, and Baja California. Now, in the presentation of the red beans previously, there was a film entitled Chaco Canyon that emphasized the significance of migration as the key experience in the creation of markets and in the construction of monumental architecture. Native peoples of the Southwest have oral traditions honoring the sacred peoples from below who came and taught them sophisticated agricultural techniques. Let's revisit Chaco Canyon and let's come to know the people from the center of the universe one more time. This time, let's pay attention to migration.
When we began our migrations, we came up into this world from the world below. The Creator telling the people that there are certain places that you're to live and giving them signs of recognition to where these sites are to be found. The migrations began over probably a period of centuries. Always looking for that place that was to be the center of our world.
In this land of extremes, the relentless sun soars temperatures to 110 degrees, parching the earth and quieting all life. 6 months later, frigid winds drop temperatures well below zero, in a canyon offering little shelter. And yet here, ancient people chose to construct the center of their world. Buildings of over 700 rooms, originally reaching 4 stories high. And on top of this tower of stone, they marked, with a dagger of light, their knowledge of the sky, a knowledge they would use to guide their construction of a center of cosmology, taking 250 years to complete. The place is a remote canyon in the American Southwest called Chaco. 1,000 years ago, the heart of an ancient Pueblo Indian civilization. These grand buildings have posed a profound mystery for over 100 years of archaeological studies. Why were they built here in this unforgiving place? What was the purpose of their dark, enclosed rooms? And of an arrow straight road to the north? And why, after building these majestic structures, did people deliberately seal them and leave? Recent discoveries reveal an intricate astronomical system here. Clues to Chaco have been held over the centuries in these walls, and in the oral histories carried by the descendant people, the Pueblo Indians of today.
In our history, they talk of things that occurred a long time ago, of people who had enormous amount of power, spiritual power and power over people. I think those types of people lived here in Chaco.
It's a mystery what attracted people to this spare land. In 850 AD, the arid soil in Chaco Canyon supported only small clusters of subsistence farmers. Traces of their modest earth-sheltered dwellings have all but disappeared, leaving no hint of what was to come. Over the next 2.5 centuries, 10 massive buildings were constructed here, built 4 to 5 stories high and containing 3,000 rooms. At the center, the structure known as Pueblo Bonito grew to cover 3 acres, a space that suggests the grandeur of one of the great public buildings of the world. At its completion, Pueblo Bonito was the size of the Roman Colosseum. 12 generations of people devoted themselves to building these elaborate structures under nearly impossible conditions. Food would not grow easily in the canyon, and water was scarce. Building materials had to be transported from distant sites. To craft their exquisite walls, the Chacoan masons cut and hauled thousands of tons of sandstone from the mesa tops above. To raise their buildings to 4 stories, they obtained massive timbers from distant mountains. They transported 220,000 timbers by foot across 50 to 70 miles into the canyon. And all this in a place so barren, it's thought that much of the food to support the thousands of builders had to be imported. The Chacoans crafted elegant pottery and ceremonial objects of inlaid turquoise. The raw materials for these efforts were also brought from distant sites. In these challenging conditions, the Chacoan culture flourished across a vast region. They built communities and roads throughout 95,000 square miles of the American Southwest. They traded with cultures 2,000 to 3,000 miles to the south. Objects of Mesoamerican origin, including parrots and plumed serpents, were found in the buildings of Chaco. To most archaeologists, the impractical choice of building here has been explained by the theory that it was a trade center, collecting and redistributing goods from a 35,000 square mile area. Over 200 miles of ancient, well-engineered roads connected with the Chaco buildings. A theoretical picture was drawn of Chaco, of roads busy with traders and a thriving populace of workers and families, filling the 3,000 rooms of the large buildings with as many as 10,000 people.
Okay, it's fascinating. What we need to appreciate and what this film clip emphasizes is that prior to the arrival of Columbus, the Western Hemisphere was interconnected. Central Mexico was the place that funneled people north to Canada and south to the Andes mountain ranges. And today, the reasons why Mexicans can be found in Florida, New York, Canada, Alaska, and Nebraska, as well as Australia, Brazil, Argentina, and Chile, is that they're following ancient patterns of migration. So as far as the Mexican identity is concerned, how did it originate? Well, first, let's understand the word Mexican. Mexican is of Nahuatl origin. It comes from the term Mexica. Mexica. What Mexica means is to be human. Mexica refers to our humanity. That's what it means to be Mexican. This term originated in a place that came to be identified by the Mexica as the center of the universe. That place, Tenochtitlan. Let's take a look at the origins of Tenochtitlan from a documentary series hosted by Peter Weller and entitled Engineering an Empire.